So what are the directions of this change? Well, the most fundamental direction is that we are moving from thinking that schools are to get people to know a lot of stuff, and then we decided they had to not only know stuff but be able to do stuff. But now we understand that they have to understand stuff. They have to not only know it and be able to do it, but know why it works and how that was developed. Because whatever it is we're teaching them, it's going to be different in 5 years or 10 years or 15. And if all they know is what we've got now, and they're really good at it, what are they going to do when that completely changes? So students now have to play a different role in their own education. They cannot be passive. They cannot be the grateful, passive recipients of our wisdom and skill. They have to be actively involved, not just physically active, mentally active. They have to be asking themselves at every moment, do I understand this? How does it connect to what I heard before? Do I believe it? Could I say it back? And they have to be thinking. Not just doing, but thinking, all the time thinking. In fact, I've come to believe that teaching is not about explaining stuff. Teaching is getting other people to think. If you can't get other people to think, I would suggest you're not teaching. You're just instructing. You're just demonstrating, which is not teaching. You cannot get to those outcomes of competent person who can use their knowledge in the real world with other people and continue to learn and adapt to rapidly changing workplace and technology unless you can get them to think for themselves. Not to replicate what you do or spit back what you tell them, but to figure stuff out. But now in education, from project-based learning, we're moving to problem-based learning. The idea is to give the students a problem and let them solve it. And give them a real problem, a problem where part of the information is missing, where the problem is poorly defined, where it's not exactly sure what the problem is, we just know we want this fixed. Because that's how real problems are in the world. They're poorly defined, a lot of the information is missing, you're not exactly sure what the problem is, you have to figure out the problem and then figure out the solution to the problem. That's real world use of your knowledge. So these are the directions, and we could sum this up in a nutshell perhaps. The direction of change here is from training to educating. From showing to getting people to figure stuff out. It's not about explaining, it's about provoking thought. So skillful performance now is not sufficient. We have to prepare people to remain skillful long after they have left us. And we have to give them the foundation for creative problem solving. For solving problems they've never seen before. For fixing stuff you never showed them how to fix. For designing new things nobody has ever thought of before. They cannot look up in a book or even on Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge. Well, our students are going into a world that's changing more rapidly than that. So we just have to get with it. It's not because we're bad, we're good. We have been good, but the excellence of the past is not sufficient for the future. And so we have to up our game. We have to step up and double down on our intentions to make thoughtful students and really figure out how to engage their minds so that they don't only listen really well and do their best and show us that they can do the skills that we've taught them, but also show that they probe beneath that surface, that they understand the reasons, the theories, the science behind things, so that when that changes, they can change with it, and they don't become stuck in their skillfulness. But in fact, all of the things we're talking about are not simple things like changing the content. We're talking about changing the way that we teach, the way that we behave, the relationship with our students. We're talking about things that are much more fundamental and complex, and there's no implementation process. To tell you the truth, nobody knows how to engage students. There is no recipe, no formula, no method that can be taught. You can't buy a book or find it on Google because it depends on you, depends on them, depends on the context, depends on the opportunities at hand. You have to invent, create what you're going to do when you're changing your pedagogy.